Cunha is suspended. Mateta is injured. We need to talk about new forwards to bring in right now. It's an absolute emergency.
Listen, defenders are hard to come by, but there's a few really interesting options that people probably haven't thought about.
Sim, I'm about to blow your mind about this fixture stuff. Things have got a bit crazy, and there's a new chip strategy that genuinely looks really, really good because the doubles and the blanks, things have changed, and we need to address that right now. Hello, and welcome to the Gameweek 28 episode of the Stick to FPL podcast. And I can't remember our tagline. You came up with some kind of slogan last week, Sim.
You're home for Fantasy Premier League, something along those lines.
Yeah. I don't know how true that is. That it is the home, but yeah, sure. This is your home for Fantasy Premier League podcast stuff.
This is your holiday home for Fantasy Premier League football.
Holiday home. That works. Nice. Hello, I'm Dan. Sim's here with me as well. As always. How you doing, mate?
Not too bad, thank you. I am out here surviving. You know, we're in the full swing of a extra long double game week. So, double game week? Extra long game week.
Yeah, these game weeks are so long, aren't they, sometimes?
A lot of stuff happening, so...
Yeah, particularly this week, it's been FA Cup chaos. Not just in terms of fixtures and what it means for doubles and blanks, but also we've had injuries. Cunha is suspended. Mateta is injured. We've seen Hall with an injury, picking up an injury as well. We'll talk about that. There is so much to cover with like immediate things we need to address in our FPL teams right now, but then also some other longer term stuff we need to think about chip strategy, of which I think there is a new chip strategy that genuinely might become really popular as a result of what's happened in the FA Cup. But we'll get to that when we get to that. But before we do anything else, I think we should have a look at Fantasy Football Hub, because they're awesome and we like them. Fantasy Football Hub, the regular sponsors of the Stick to FPL podcast. Of course, if you haven't checked them out yet and all of their wonderful tools, you can do so by clicking the link in the description or in the link tree. And everything we show today, those stats, the predicted points, the fixture calendars and stuff like that, all comes from Fantasy Football Hub. So it's an ultimate suite of FPL tools for you to use. So use them or lose them. Actually, would you lose? I don't suppose you probably wouldn't lose them
if you didn't use them and you stopped subscribing to them.
I guess you would. But you could always come back.
But you could always come back.
Yeah, so maybe it's not that dire.
Use them or lose your season.
Yeah, you know what? You should phone up Fantasy Football Hub and sell them that slogan. That would work.
Mr. Hub, it's Sim on the phone. Sim from Stick to FPL. The black guy with the cut. I work with Dan. There you go. There you go. Got a new slogan for you. Use them or lose your FPL season. You hate it. What do you mean you hate? Oh my God. Get out of here. We just got sacked.
Oh, damn it. Okay. Well, looking for new sponsorships for next week's episode, evidently. Okay, so let's get stuck in with the forward business.
Well, they've all died.
They have all died, haven't they?
One of them lost his head. The other one also lost his head.
Yeah.
Isaac probably is fine, granted, but I feel like we kind of run out of forwards.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, off the back of, we had GW28 getting injured, Havertz, Solanke. It feels like it's just a chain of forwards getting injured at the moment, which is just forcing more and more transfers. And perhaps the pool of forwards to pick from is getting smaller and smaller. Or, of course, Ndai as well, who, by the way, is still in my squad somehow. He died a few weeks ago.
Beat me to it.
So, yeah, we're getting narrower and narrower with our options. So I guess let's speak about the injured players, first of all, or suspended players, and what the severity of the situation is. So starting with Cunha, this is the worst one because he, after his another instance of violent conduct, he is quite the crazy man.
I don't blame him.
No?
He plays for a team that he shouldn't be playing in and he feels constantly let down.
Do you think that's what it is, like pent up frustration?
I think he's just very, very frustrated and angry. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if he's having problems, elsewhere in his life.
Also, it could be like other kinds of frustration.
I think it's just coming out everywhere that there's a gap.
Right.
And respectfully to Wolves, he's too good for them.
I think that's not too controversial to say, although the 3 Wolves fans listening probably won't be too happy that you've said that.
I'm sorry, guys, but I'm sure even you guys believe that at this point.
Maybe.
But some of the stuff that he, It's 3 instances in the same action where like elbows one guy, kicks another guy on the floor. I mean, granted, it's not a hard kick, but like he still kicks, like, he swings his leg at the player and then kind of gesticulates forward with his head at another player. It's just like, come on, man. Like, about even after the kick.
Yeah.
Like, just pipe down a bit.
Yeah, particularly after the glasses situation of a couple of months ago now. Yeah. So it's crazy. He's lost his head again, and this time he is going to be suspended for 4 games, all of which will be in the Premier League, which means he's out for 28, 29, 30, 31, and will not be back until game week 32.
I have a question here.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when a Premier League player gets a red card in the Premier League, they serve their ban in the League Cup.
Oh, this gets very complicated.
Yeah. So if you get a red card in the Premier League, or even if you get a double yellow in the Premier League, no, not double yellow. Double yellow has to be served in the Premier League.
Yeah.
But a red in the Premier League can be served in the League Cup, but not the FA Cup.
If it's served in the Premier League.
So
if you get it in the Premier League.
If you get Premier League red card in game week, what do we just finish? 27.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't have served that ban in the FA Cup. So you have to play the FA Cup. And you miss your... My understanding is anyway. This is what my understanding was.
Right.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Please in the comments correct me if I'm wrong as well. But I thought that you can only serve a Premier League ban in either the Premier League or the League Cup. So how come you can serve an FA Cup ban in the Premier League?
It's a good point. It is quite messy.
Yeah.
Particularly when you like add in the yellow card situations and how yellow card accumulation in one competition means one thing. And if you get 2 yellows in one game, it means another thing. I don't fully understand it. I kind of just look instance by instance, look it up. What is the ramifications of this? And go from there. I don't understand the rules, if I'm totally honest. And if anyone has a list of rules, please do let us know exactly how it works in all these competitions, because it's mad confusing. But what we do know is that Cunha, in this instance, is going to be... He's out 4 game weeks. It's too much. That's all of his good fixtures as well. Gone. Wolves have this phenomenal run of fixtures. Cunha will not be playing in any of them. So he's got to go. Then we have Mateta. Brutal one. Really brutal one. Collision. We'll call it a collision. Maybe that's generous. Collision in the FA Cup against Millwall. Took a rather heavy blow to the side of the head, I guess. Apparently, it's not like he's not like in any like life-threatening danger. He's just had to have some stitches in his ear.
Like 25, apparently.
Yeah, and he's back home, which is good. But I don't think he's going to be playing in Game Week 28.
Yeah, it's I think he falls into the concussion policies where he has to miss 12 days or something along those lines.
I'm not sure. I don't know, because I don't know how bad it is, and I don't know what exact rules apply and if they cross competitions again, which is another complication. But yeah, no, he's not going to be risked for Game Week 28. Game Week 29 is a blank game week. Then we have the international break. He's not realistically going to play until Game Week 30, and fair enough, you might be able to wait that long, but if you're not planning on free hitting in Game Week 29 anyway, you're going to need some bodies in there, and it might make sense to actually remove Mateta right now, even though you probably are going to want him from Game Week 30 onwards, assuming he is available by then, which hopefully he will be.
Yeah.
Next player is Isak. He is a little bit more positive.
He's fine.
Yeah.
Hal said he's fine, but we don't know what to believe when Hal talks.
True.
But he seemed fine even on the game, on the day.
Yeah, so he had an injury in Game Week 27. It was available to play in the FA Cup. Game Week 28 is coming up now, obviously. In the FA Cup, he kind of hobbled off the pitch at the end, but apparently he's fine. So that's not too much of a concern.
Did you see his goal?
Yes, I did.
Disgusting.
Yes.
Disgusting.
He's crazy good.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see him in an Arsenal shirt next season.
I don't think you can afford him, mate.
No.
Best striker in the Premier League?
I don't... Can we take it away from Haaland yet?
I don't know, man.
Haaland's gone under the radar recently. He's kind of back, like low-key.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Haaland... I guess Isak is more well-rounded, but Haaland is so good at what he does. He kind of blows everyone away, but I don't know. Isak's not that far off. If I was going to get a striker for my team, I think I'd prefer Isak.
Yeah. maybe. No, I don't think so. It depends what team you are.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of teams would prefer Haaland to Isak. Most teams, perhaps.
I think the only problem Isak has is his injury record. He's just never fit enough for a full season.
Yeah, so true. So true.
Haaland's never that good either. So.
But anyway, let's take that back to FPL, because we mentioned a few players that might be on the way out of our FPL teams, and we've got here a list of forwards ordered by their expected goal involvement over the past 6 game weeks. This is per appearance. And we've got a few of the injured players on here as well. Mateta is number 1 with 0.9 expected goal involvements per appearance, which is really, really high. In second place is the aforementioned Erling Haaland, 0.8. So pretty good, genuinely. Got Forest up next for Haaland, and then Brighton in blank game week 29, and then Leicester in game week 30, which is a really nice fixture for the Man City boys. In third place, we have Chris Wood, 0.7 expected goal involvements per game, but that has been fairly well inflated by that game he scored a hat-trick against
Bournemouth?
Was it Bournemouth? Brighton. I'm going to say Brighton. Yes, it was Brighton.
It was Brighton.
It was Brighton for one of their, they have like a few capitulations throughout the season, and one of them was against Forest on the week. I sold Chris Wood, but I'm not bitter about that, and I will stop mentioning it definitely at some point.
Your fault, mate. Your fault.
After that, Johan Wissa.
He's interesting.
Yeah,
I think realistically, you're looking at Wood or Wissa.
Do you think so?
Or both.
I think Wood is probably the sensible pick, because we've got a nice fixture against Ipswich in game week 29 for him. He plays Man City in 28, so it feels a little premature to be buying him this week, but you might be forced into that.
Yeah. Wissa playing Villa and Bournemouth. So it's not brilliant, but
I mean, Villa's a good fixture.
Do they average out to about the same? Man City and Ipswich? Villa and Bournemouth. I think those two probably average out to about equal.
You could be right, to be fair. Yeah, you're probably not too far wrong. But I think people just have more confidence in Wood at the moment, which is completely fair enough. But I like Wissa. I've had him for a couple of weeks. But you could get the idea that maybe it's a couple of weeks too late to buy Wissa, because his best fixtures are kind of in the past, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people will have one of Cunha and Mateta, but also own Wood.
Maybe.
So where will they go?
Well, I guess you could go for Wissa, but I think there's actually a few other players I quite like on this list. I think people talk about Beto. I'm not really convinced by that. Watkins blanks in 29. Joao Pedro is frustrating at times, but he seems to be on a hot streak at the moment. So I guess that's maybe an option. But Brighton's fixtures are not particularly good, not really that interesting. Gakpo blanks, but then we go further down the list. We have like a bit of a differential guy like Marmoush. If you want to go in on a City player like that, can't afford Haaland maybe. But I think the player I perhaps like the most is Evan Nielsen, who came back, started in the FA Cup, scored against Wolves.
Is he going to start in the Premier League though?
That's the risk.
I think that's a pretty big risk.
It is, but he's cheap. I think he comes in at. Hang on, let me just have a look at his price. I did have it written down somewhere, but he's cheap. It's like 5.6. There we go. 5.6 million, 0.6% owned.
You know his price is right there, right?
Is it?
Oh no, he's not on the screen.
He's like just cut off the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
So cheap. If you only have maybe like a Cliver in your midfield, you're not already doubled up on the Bournemouth attack. The fixtures are still really good. We love the Bournemouth fixtures. We've been talking about Bournemouth players. Maybe this is another route into Bournemouth. So I think if you're happy, if you want to go a little cheaper and you're happy to take a little bit of a minute's risk in the immediate term, which I mean, to be fair, he's already started a game against.
Yeah,
he's back. He is back.
I don't know. I think Dango's earned at the very least to not be forced off the moment Evan Nielsen is back.
I get what you're saying, and I think Dango should still start in game week 28.
Where will Evan Nielsen start?
But I think Dango will play on the wing. I think he'll just be moved to the wing and Evan Nielsen will go up front.
Yeah, that's fair
I think
enough.
Brooks probably is the player to miss out.
Yeah,
to be honest.
That's interesting. I do think his option. I'll probably just be a little bit too concerned. Spurs is the next fixture as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I guess you don't have to force that, but people need to move this week, so you probably have to get him this week if you are going to go for it. Other options in Ketchia, obviously going to be blanking. Welbeck, I think, could be a possibility.
Do you think? Again, Welbeck has the same fixtures issue as João Pedro. Nketiah is interesting, but it just feels super short term because he doesn't play in 29.
Yeah.
Mateta's probably going to be back in 30.
Yeah.
You have him for one game week maybe, and then he's useless to you again. You've got to use another transfer.
Yeah.
Not really feeling it. Some people mentioned Strand Larsen as well. You've had a look at him at all?
No chance.
No Cunha replacement.
It's Cunha or nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the thing is, Cunha's like so instrumental to the Wolves' attack as well, not just as a talisman, but just as a great player for that team. Yeah, not for me.
Okay.
Is Hwang Hee-chan, is he still about?
He is still about. I think he is fit at the moment. He's kind of been on and off with fitness this season. Let's have a look.
Because if anything, I'd prefer him over Strand Larsen. But, I mean, even that,
he's not been getting minutes, though, even when he has been fit. Like, he's played, 60 minutes in 6 game weeks. That's not good. 70 minutes. Then. Yeah. So, probably not.
Yeah. There you go. I mean, I don't think Strand Larsen's been nailed at all over this period either, right?
He's been injured in his defence. And I think Strand Larsen will play in Cunha's absence now. I think that's a pretty straightforward switch because Cunha has been playing as a striker. So I think Strand Larsen will play, but it's like people think, oh yeah, Wolves attack really, really strongly, scoring goals. But so much of that was down to Cunha that I don't think you could just swap Cunha out for Strand Larsen and expect similar results. I think it'll be very, very different results.
Yeah. Okay. I'll press you for a top 3.
Okay. Top 3 forward replacements for Mateta or Cunha or whoever you have. I'm going to say number 1 is Haaland, if you can make it happen. If you can make that happen, I would definitely do it. Number 2, I think I'm going to say Chris Wood as your safe option. And then I'm going to say number 3, risky Evan Nilsson, nice and cheap, back playing for Bournemouth. I actually genuinely quite like that one, but it is not for the faint-hearted. What about you?
I wouldn't put Haaland in the top 3 unless you can get to him easily. Yeah. So if you're ripping apart your team, I don't like the Palmer sell this week, for example.
Okay, sure.
So I'm gonna put Haaland 3rd. I'm gonna put Vissa 2nd, and I'm gonna put Wood 1st.
Okay. So we both got Wood in there as a top 2. So
yeah,
I think our combined answer is probably Chris Wood as the best Mateta replacement.
Love that. Love that. Let's take a quick look at defenders, because a lot of people, whilst they are dealing with the catastrophes of the strikers, also have an issue of defenders that either are injured, like Hall, or I don't know if Hall's actually fully injured.
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm not too confident about Hall. I don't think he's going to play this week.
Okay.
Because the quote is that he is having to see a specialist. And that's usually a bad sign.
Yeah.
It usually, it's not a straightforward injury. He's going to be able to walk it off and play the next game kind of thing.
I mean, maybe it's a nutrition specialist. Maybe he's just a bit hungry. You know, maybe he needs a therapist.
Oh, it could be. Yeah, could be. Maybe it's like Matt Target and he's just got an eczema issue right now.
Exactly. But no, you're right. So Hall is probably a concern. There's Trent's flying around. Obviously, you're not going to lose him before Southampton, but he blanks in 29. Mitchell, Munoz, for example, you're probably a little bit concerned about from a Gameweek 29 perspective. And then there's all the sort of trash that's sitting on people's benches anyway, which probably will need to be dealt with, given that people will want to bench a Mo Salah, possibly a Trent or a Isak, however they want to navigate that.
If you've got Greaves, Okoli, these kind of guys, might be time for an upgrade in that bench area, maybe even this week, if you can.
Exactly. So let's take a quick run through of what defenders we're looking at. I'm going to fly through these names ordered by XGI again. Cucurella, top of the pops. Trent Alexander-Arnold, both at 0.3. Then we've got Gvardiol, Munoz, Cresswell. Interesting.
Yeah, 3.9 million.
Yeah. These are
He's been playing.
Everything that I'm about to read out is 0.2 XGI. Gvardiol, Munoz, Cresswell, Veltman, Poro, Lacroix, Robertson, Mitchell, Dallo. It's not a great selection, is it?
This has been the story of the season, though, right? There's not been that many great defenders. We've had like defenders having little nice streaks. We've had some pretty reliable guys like Robinson, I think, has been pretty reliable all season. But everyone else has kind of been in phases. You can say Trent, Gvardiol, Munoz. Everyone's probably looking at these guys thinking, yeah, these are really good defenders. But they've been very on and off this season. Very on and off.
I think this week, again, I would probably not force it, and I would try to figure out where I'm going to go with it in 29 on a short-term basis, and then wildcard and figure it out from 30 or 31. I am unlike, we'll go through my team because I've got a bit of a poo-poo defense, but it's doing the job.
Right.
It's just doing the job.
Yeah.
I think like people like Kirkes is probably something that I'd be interested in, but the fixtures aren't brilliant, are they?
Yeah, from a defensive point of view, Bournemouth's fixtures aren't so good because they've got Spurs and Brentford in the next two.
Yeah.
Which, if you're an attacker, you'd say, oh yeah, that's pretty nice. But you expect these teams to score against you as well.
Yeah. And then, I mean, like United defense, I'm not really going to go near. West Ham, Brighton, Spurs defenses, I'm not really going to go near.
Any love for like
Cucurella?
Leicester,
if they had
Arsenal.
if they had a decent goalkeeper, maybe. But it seems like every new goalkeeper they roll out is worse than the one that was playing before him.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
and they're not buying a new one in summer, apparently. They've come out and said
they just got to train their current ones and
well,
just make them better.
They've got like 8 senior goalkeepers on their books. So, I mean, you'd hope one of them might turn out to be like worthy of being in the first team. But
it'll be the last one they try.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Bring back Petrovic, I say. He was all right for a bit.
He was all right.
Yeah.
He was doing decent. I don't even hate Sanchez, to be honest, but he's prone to a bit of a mistake. Who do you like?
Well, if we're looking through the best attacking defenders, I think Gvardiol, there's certainly something to be said about him. He's scored 5 goals already this season. He's played 26 games in the Premier League, 5 goals. That's pretty decent. We've got some good fixtures coming up for Man City as well. I appreciate he is a little expensive at 5.9 million, but Nottingham Forest up next is not the worst fixture. Brighton at home, Leicester after that as well. I think if you can make Gvardiol happen, then I would be fine with doing that this week. He's certainly a player that I'm looking to move to in Gameweek 29. I'm thinking like a Trent to Gvardiol move is something I'm reasonably confident I will be doing for Gameweek 29. So, if you do need a new defender right now, could go 1 week early on him, to be honest.
I don't hate that. Let's take a quick gander at the fixtures.
Sure.
So Man City towards the middle, Forest next, but then they've got Brighton and Leicester in that 2-game week run.
Yeah, both at home.
Where we're thinking we're probably going to wildcard out of. So that's definitely a good period. I mean, Forest isn't the most insane fixture to keep a clean sheet against.
No, it's certainly possible. I mean, Arsenal just done it. I mean, Fulham also kept Forest down to basically no chances. And if we go to the defenses, here we go. Man City are actually on a really nice upward trend. Like we spoke a few weeks ago about, well, maybe more like a month ago, how Man City were just like this dreadful defense. They're conceding so many chances. It's not looking good. The times they are changing. And I think that's something we need to do as FPL managers, consistently adapt to the new information. And the new information is telling us that Man City are actually now a top 5 defense. They've kept 3 clean sheets in the last 6. Their expected goals conceded numbers are pretty low. Again, top 5. They're a decent defense now. And they've got good fixtures. And they play in Game Week 29. And as we'll soon find out, they'll probably double in Game Week 34 as well. Ooh. Well, 33.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah. So it's, I think it's a good time to go in on a Man City defender. I don't see why not.
I don't hate it at all. Outside of that, obviously Arsenal still seem to be the best defensive team alongside Liverpool.
Yeah.
I've somehow still kept 2 Arsenal defenders, and I've just been collecting points every other week.
You really have.
Yeah,
you really have.
I mean, last week they've properly bailed me out. 2 weeks ago, solid returns. I mean, look, sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. It seems to be it's one game they don't, one game they do.
Yeah.
So,
you know what? That's a better hit rate than every other defense in the Premier League, pretty much.
There you go, right? So it's not awful. Just taking a quick gander at the fixtures there. They've got United, Chelsea, Fulham, and Everton coming up. They're not the best fixtures, but it is still Arsenal, right?
You back them. You acknowledge the possibility of a clean sheet in every single one of those fixtures. Really, the only teams you would go into a fixture and you think, oh, maybe this might be a tough one for my Arsenal defenders, is like Liverpool or Man City away.
Or like Newcastle even.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. But they are bogey team right now, to be fair, for Arsenal.
So, I mean, I think it's decent. You'd probably put them in a don't buy, don't sell category, but if you really need something secure and you're just like, you know what, I don't like any of the other teams, I don't like the percentage likelihood of the player I buy getting a clean sheet. I don't hate that either.
Yeah. You're going to get good clean sheets odds for Arsenal defenders every week, no matter who they play. So they are kind of fixture-proof in that way. And the great thing about Arsenal from an FPL perspective is it doesn't matter how horrific they are in attack. The worse they get in attack, the better they get in defense because that's all they have to fall back on, which is painful to say, but it's so true.
Look how far they've come. I remember when you were a brilliant attack once upon a time.
Yeah, we've gone back to the 90s, kind of Arsenal. Boring Arsenal.
Some of the teams to avoid for these defenses.
Yeah.
Oh, I was about to sneeze there.
Well, you're allergic to Manchester United defenders.
That's literally what I think. I think that's literally what was happening. I was about to say the word, and my body like was said, "Nope."
Yeah, but so they're now bottom 2
that's crazy.
defense on a 10-week rolling expected goals conceded.
It's crazy. I mean, Villa sat right there next to them as well is not really good looking, is it?
Yeah. Like we think, oh, we got to make sure we target Leicester and Ipswich with our attackers. But actually, if you've got an attacker against Aston Villa, like Wissa this week, or, you know, you're against Manchester United, who plays Manchester United? Arsenal play them this week, and next week it's Leicester.
Yeah.
Okay, you're probably not going to buy attackers from those teams necessarily, but hey, maybe.
You never know.
Maybe.
Jamie Vardy back in your FPL team.
Why not?
But, like... If a lot of people always seem to be considering Man United defenders, you know what I mean? Dallows and whatnot, they play a system that people think can get points. For me, it's just not worth it. I just don't think it's the place to put your energy from a defensive perspective. Midfielders, I'm kind of warming up to Bruno. He has been a lot more consistent, but defensively, just not for me.
Yeah. It's Bruno or nobody from Man United at the moment. I don't think that's just in FPL terms. I think in real life football terms, I think if you watch Manchester United, it's Bruno or nobody else is performing.
Yeah. I dread to think where they'd be without him, right?
Yeah.
Forest have tumbled down this list. No
really
longer
have.
a top 3, top 4 defense. But obviously, this is on the last 10 game weeks.
But that's a significant enough sample size.
Yeah.
That's not nothing. There's something to be said about that, I think.
It's unlucky because 0.2 less expected goals conceded, and they're then sat in like 8th, 9th.
Yeah.
And they're now sat in like 15th, 16th, 15th maybe. So actually 14th. But either way, they're probably somewhere that you're not going to be targeting. Aina, for example, is it Milenkovic? Is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah.
A lot of people are considering that for some time. Probably not worth it now. West Ham have climbed. Wolves have climbed. Nouri, a possibility here.
Yeah. No more attacking threat for Nouri, though, sadly.
Yeah.
He's not doing it anymore.
I just don't think Wolves are somewhere I'm going to put my eggs right now.
Now
despite the
Cunha's gone.
fixtures. Yeah.
I wonder if it might just drop the whole camp because also they probably know that they're safe now because of how bad the newly promoted teams have been.
Yeah. There's a bit of a gap between them and Ipswich now as well, isn't
Yeah.
there? So, Chelsea just right in the middle alongside Newcastle and Bournemouth. So, anything jumping out at you here?
Not really. I mean, Liverpool, Crystal Palace blank in 29. Fulham, they put up good numbers but don't really seem to keep clean sheets. Man City are there, which I like. Brighton, poor fixtures. Everton, maybe. Mikolenko, O'Neill, is that his name? Right back. O'Brien. Sorry, O'Neill.
I thought you were talking about the manager. I was like, what?
Martin O'Neill, the manager.
Brian O'Neill, is that his name?
I have no idea. Because clearly we are not old enough to know some classic managers. But yeah, I mean, maybe Everton, but I think the next 2 fixtures are okay, if memory serves.
Wolves and West Ham, not too bad.
Yeah, I think you can definitely get a clean sheet out of those 2 games.
Yeah.
But after that, it's, kind of drops off a cliff. Liverpool, Arsenal, and Forest City.
4 best teams in the Premier League.
Well, that's literally the top 4, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or is it?
I
Wait.
think Forest are still in the top 4, aren't they? I know Man City are definitely in it.
Yeah, so yeah, it's City 4th, Chelsea 5th. Yeah.
Forest are 3rd.
Yes, that's right.
Wow, what a great season for them.
I know.
Even though their forms fell off, they're still 3rd.
Yeah, do you know, in the last 5 games, they've lost 3, drawn 1, only won once in 5. And they're still 3rd.
Wow. Goes to show how bad everyone else is.
Yeah, other than Liverpool.
Let's move on, because a lot of this planning is going to be, particularly in next Game Week's transfers, is going to be around who are the players that I need to get in place for Game Week 29.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a really good place to sort of navigate your thinking from is, if I was on a free hit in 29, who are the priority players for me to have in my team?
Who would you have?
So I want to go through some of the Game Week 29 players that are sort of predicted the most points.
Mm-hmm.
So you've pulled up this list here based
Yes.
on the Hub algorithm's predicted points, and obviously this could be a captaincy matrix too. But this is the top 5 or 6 players that the algorithm thinks are most likely to get the points.
Yeah, I'm Game Week 29.
So your transfers should kind of align with what we're seeing here too.
Yeah, I think there's certainly some players in here that we would be considering if we haven't got them already. We mentioned Haaland and Wood as really nice forward picks. If you're looking for a new forward right now, no problem with going in 1 week early on these guys if it's possible, and trying to get ahead of the game for Game Week 29. Looks really, really nice there. Palmer's an interesting one. Away against Arsenal, 5.5 predicted points. But you wonder if that's just because, he's one of a few top players actually playing in Game Week 29. As soon as you take Liverpool players out of the equation, there's kind of slim pickings after that. It shows how this is Liverpool season, like fully.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting to see him in there with 5.5 predicted points, particularly as he's, historically we've not seen him perform too often.
Don't say it.
in some of the bigger games.
Don't say it. They're gonna kill you again.
let them come. Let them come for me.
So what? Palmer just can't do it in the big games. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that Palmer can't do it in the big games.
Are you saying Palmer is just not a great football player? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that he's a flat track bully. He does very well against the smaller teams, unless it's Southampton last week for some reason. But all I'm saying is, every time I say Palmer is not a big game player, as he's about to play in a big game, I am very quickly proven right. And every time they come for me, and every time they're wrong, and every time I'm right.
You gone and done it. Clip it.
I'm getting cooked again. I know I'm getting cooked again on TikTok. I know I'm getting cooked again, but I will be right again.
Well,
Palmer blank against Arsenal. It's coming.
We will see. Okay, so no, let's not go into captaincy because we'll talk about that next week.
Okay, sure.
But Philip Foden is in here. Fraud. Don't listen to this list. He's probably not even going to be playing. Foden, I wouldn't put him in there. His expected minutes are very low.
They've dropped. And they're going to drop further. And I think his expected points will actually drop off as a result over the next week.
As they should. Chris Wood, interesting. Bruno, possible option for captaincy. I don't want to talk about it yet, but
yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be one of the better picks for Game Week 29. If I'm on a free hit in Game Week 29, Bruno is going to be in that team. So he's got to be a consideration to buy. The problem is, if you're going in with the idea of a Game Week 28 transfer, you're probably not going to buy Bruno ahead of Arsenal, which is the issue, I think, with him.
Yeah, no, agreed. So anything else in this list that you'd be considering players that you definitely want if you are on a free hit in Game Week 29?
I'm on a free hit in Game Week 29. I'm having Haaland in my team. I'm having Wood in my team. I'm having Bruno in my team. I probably have one Arsenal defender in there. I probably have Gavardio in there. I'd probably go for one more City attacker, either Marmoush or Savinho.
Triple City, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think I would go for Triple City on a free hit 29.
Okay.
Even in my normal team, I'll tell you about it later. I'm thinking I have an idea to get Triple City for Game Week 29, and I currently have 0. So I can do it for Game Week 29. I'll tell you about that later.
Okay.
So yeah, I think that's super interesting.
Yeah.
Particularly if you're, wild carding in 31, 32.
Yeah.
You can take that Leicester fixture for City as well, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
Have a couple up for that.
I'd also add Mbeumo to that list. I'd probably add
Yeah.
a Bournemouth midfielder into that list.
Who's your favourite Bournemouth midfielder right now? I think
Kluivert.
Kluivert's still up there.
Yeah.
I think Semenyo's catching him up.
I still want to go Cliver, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dango's drops.
Dango's just not on it no more.
No.
Yeah, I own Dango, and I'm not very happy about that now.
Me too.
And I had the choice, and I picked Dango. Although I don't think I would have done the madness that I did with the assistant manager if I went for Cliver.
Why?
Because I think
We're short on budget.
I would have probably been too short to go to like a Emery, for example, or maybe a Glasner. I'm not sure. Who knows? Ifs and maybes. But either way, I went for Dango, and I probably would want Cliver now if I was on a free hit. Outside of that, there's not really much else.
Yeah, manage your expectations with Game Week 29. It's a blank game week. Blank game weeks are low scoring weeks.
Yeah. I guess you'd pick up probably a goalkeeper, maybe from Forest or Wolves. Maybe you'd pick a Spurs defender if you were feeling frisky.
Maybe. But let's do next week for next week's episode, because there will be some people free hitting, but also some people who want to kind of have an idea of what kind of players to get for Game Week 29. Next week, let's do a Game Week 29 free hit draft each, and then we'll kind of compare notes.
Okay, let's do it.
Sounds good.
Let's do it. Quick reminder before we move on, guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe, follow, like all the nice stuff that gets our numbers higher and more people listening, because that's the only way we can keep recording. This place is expensive, you know.
Yes.
Do you think these screens are free? Normal screens don't look like this on camera.
That's actually true. They're very good screens, very good monitors.
So please do please do subscribe, please do give us a 5-star review.
Yes, all helps a lot.
We have some very, very crazy stuff to talk about.
Yeah,
lock in,
Sim, lock in, my friend.
I'm gonna take the backseat, kick my feet up, and let you rap to the peoples.
This is. I think this is kind of becoming my thing. A little bit.
Fixture man done.
Yeah, I feel like I'm the Ben Krellin prodigy.
You're the apprentice.
The apprentice, yeah. Yeah. I'm like his son.
FPL apprentice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like the unclaimed B-word child.
Yes, indeed. So let me tell you what I got for you. So the FA Cup quarterfinals, the draw has taken place. We know who's going to be playing, and this has major implications on the blank game weeks, and indeed double game weeks in 33 and 34, and also a little bit 32, but we'll get there. Yeah, seriously, lock in. This is not straightforward, but we'll try and explain this in as simple terms as possible. So the basic idea is that the FA Cup semi-finalists and their Game Week 34 opponents will have their fixtures moved from Game Week 34 into Game Week 33, creating a blank for them in 34 and a double for them in 33. So, for example, let's have a look at Aston Villa versus Preston North End. Now, no disrespect to Preston North End, but Aston Villa are the heavy favourites to progress and become a semi-finalist. Once they become a semi-finalist, they will have their fixture against Man City in Game Week 34 moved into Game Week 33.
Okay.
So that Aston Villa, at this point, highly likely to blank in 34, highly likely to double in 33. Now, interestingly, this is made extra likely because Man City also have a good chance of making the semi-finals. Only one of City or Aston Villa needs to reach the semi-finals for their fixture against each other in Game Week 34 to become a blank and move into Game Week 33 to become a double. Same with every other team. Fulham, if they reach the semi-finals, they beat Palace, blank in 34, double in 33, along with their opposition, which is Southampton. Which would, like I say, also mean that Southampton would blank in 34 and double in 33 because they are a team's opponent in Game Week 34 who is still in the FA Cup. Am I making sense so far?
You are. We're with you.
Good stuff. All right. So that applies to all of these teams.
Yes. Whoever wins, they and their opponent will blank in 34 and double in 35. Double in 33.
Correct. Spot on. So this is where things get a little bit tricky. Because Man City and Aston Villa play each other in Game Week 34, if they both progress into the semi-finals, so Man City beat Bournemouth and Aston Villa beat Preston, that's going to mean that they are obviously going to blank in 34, but that's that's two birds with one stone, if that makes sense.
So it means less double game weeks.
Yeah.
Less double games.
Less blanks, less double game weeks, because they play each other. They don't have other team in the Premier League that they'd be playing. They play each other. So if, in this example, Man City progress and Aston Villa progress to the semi-finals, that means we are now maxed out at three blanking fixtures in Game Week 34, so 6 teams, and three doubles in 33 of 6 teams doubling in 33. So it's actually more likely now that we'll see Game Week 33 only have 3 double game weeks, 3 double game week fixtures, 6 double game week teams, and only 6 blanking teams in 34, which is more than, it's just more blanks than in 29, but it sounds a little more palatable, a little bit more manageable. The other way we could see less teams blank in 34 is, of course, if Preston beat Aston Villa. Because if Preston progress, that's one less Premier League team and one less Premier League team with another Premier League opponent that will have to have their fixture moved from Game Week 34. So essentially, we could come down even further.
If Man City win, there'll be less double game weeks regardless.
Yeah, if Man City win or Preston win, we are getting 3 max double game weeks in 33 if either of those teams win.
Okay.
The one other stipulation is Nottingham Forest.
I read something about that.
Yeah, this is where things get slightly more techie. But basically, Forest play against Brentford on the Monday in Game Week 33. So, therefore, it's going to be difficult to schedule a double game week in Game Week 33 for them. Because, when you're going to play on the Wednesday or Thursday, they've got to play again on the Saturday. It's tough. So, it's more likely if Nottingham Forest get to the semi-finals of the FA Cup, that their double game week against Brentford would be moved into Game Week 32 to go alongside the Newcastle Crystal Palace double game week.
Very interesting.
So in that instance, we would see, we could maybe even see 2 double game weeks in 32, 2 double game weeks in 33, and 3 blank game weeks in 34. So it's like way more spread out than we initially thought. That is also a possibility. But we're getting too complicated now. So the only other thing is we are recording this before Ipswich and Forest have played in the FA Cup. So we don't actually know if Forest, even have a chance of progressing to the quarterfinals, let alone the semi-finals, because they'd have to win both games. Let's move on to the fixtures. And basically, I've drawn up the likeliness of each team doubling and blanking and where and when that would happen. This is like the straightforward, like who's going to double, who's going to blank between Game Week 32 and 34. This is like the simplest way to explain it as of current information at time of recording. And by far, the most likely team to double in 33 and blank in 34 are Aston Villa and Man City. That is by far the most likely scenario. That we can pretty much lock it in at this point. It's like 90+% chance of that happening, maybe even more. After that, the teams most likely to double in 33 and blank in 34 are going to be Arsenal, Brighton, Crystal Palace, Fulham, Southampton, and West Ham. That's kind of slimmer pickings than maybe you might have hoped for there. I mean, you've got Arsenal, they would have a double against Ipswich and Palace. That's pretty nice, I guess. You probably want to double up on Arsenal defence. Brighton could be interesting if they doubled. Brentford and West Ham would be their double. It's okay, etc., etc. There's a few other teams that have a small chance, but the teams that cannot double in 33 and cannot blank in 34 are Chelsea, Everton, Leicester, Liverpool, Spurs, and Wolves. They will play in 33, they will play in 34, but they'll have no doubles. Is there anything else to add to that?
I think you've covered it off really nicely.
Yeah?
36 and 37, let's not worry about for now.
I'm not going to touch that right now.
Yeah. It's long in the distance, but the big double game week we were promised is looking smaller and smaller as we get closer and closer.
Yeah. Basically.
So you tell me that you have a possible new chip strategy for the peopledom.
Yeah. But before I tell you that, this is This is based on one more stipulation, this chip strategy, which is very likely outcome, but not guaranteed.
Okay.
So, of course, I don't know if Ipswich have beaten Forest or Forest have beaten Ipswich.
Okay.
But the only way Newcastle can have a double game week in 33 and therefore that glorious double-double is if Ipswich reach the semi-finals. Which, if you go back to the FA Cup fixtures, even if they beat Forest, you guys at home will know by now if they have or not. They've then got to get past Brighton as well. That's super unlikely.
Yeah.
Similar with Crystal Palace, they got to beat Fulham in the quarterfinals, and that's the only way they can get a double-double. So previously we were looking at, Crystal Palace and Newcastle could have back-to-back double game weeks. Newcastle, there's basically 0% chance of that happening, or near zero. Crystal Palace, it could happen. It's like maybe a coin toss against Fulham.
Yeah.
You don't know which way that's going to go. Two good teams.
50-50.
Yeah.
50-50. Okay, well, I want to know what this new... In fact, you said that this is the best new chip strategy.
Yeah.
Should this thing happen.
Yeah.
And if you do this chip strategy, you will get very close to winning FPL.
I don't think I said that.
And you said if you don't win FPL having used this chip strategy, you will pay out $1,000.
No, definitely didn't say
That's
that.
definitely what. Let's hear what the chip strategy is.
Okay, so this is the brand new chip strategy based on the latest information about double and blank game weeks. So the popular strategy before was people were looking at wildcarding in game week 30, 31 kind of area, bench boosting in 33, and free hitting in the big blank game week in 34. But with double game week 33 starting to look a little bit smaller potentially, and the chance of double game week 33 maybe getting a little bit bigger, what we can do is a little switcheroony. And basically with our wildcards, what you want to do is one of two things. Now, previously we were saying, okay, we're going to use our wildcard. We're going to bring in loads of players who double in 32, 33. Get loads of those double game week players. Beautiful. And then when those same players blank in game week 34, have no fixture, we will free hit them out. But you can actually do the inverse of that as well. And that's what this new strategy is all about. So instead of wildcarding in the double game week players for game week 33, what you're doing instead is you're wildcarding in the players who play single game week in game week 34. So actually do have fixtures in 34. And in game week 33, you'll be missing a lot of double game week players, but you free hit then instead. So you're maximizing the power of the free hit chip to load up on a big double game week team, essentially. Now, this is especially powerful, if we see Newcastle and Crystal Palace, for example, if neither of these teams double in 33, that means you can wildcard these players in for game week 32, have, 6 players, 3 Palace, 3 Newcastle, all double in 32. You don't have to worry about them not doubling in 33 because you're going to free hit that week anyway. And you get a fresh new team of all double game week players. So this strategy genuinely could be really good, in particular if you don't have an assistant manager or triple captain chip, because this strategy really doesn't leave too much room for an assistant manager or a triple captain. Maybe triple captain, you could play at 28, 36 potentially. But yeah, I think this strategy genuinely could cook because you've got that super powerful free hit. And I think bench boost could be pretty powerful as well if you've got that triple Crystal Palace Newcastle.
Yeah, no, this is really interesting. And you know what? It's a different way to think about it, right? Because a lot of people do want to maximize that free hit. And if you're only just trying to bail yourself out, sometimes you feel like you haven't really pushed it out as much as you could. And if game 32 is slightly bigger, then a bench boost definitely is a great option.
It's not going to be bigger.
Even if it has Forest in it.
It could potentially, small chance of it being the same, but it's not going to be bigger.
No, not bigger than 33, sorry. I mean bigger than currently scheduled.
Oh, sorry, yes.
So then like you're relatively happy there. A free hit in 33, you maximize all these doubling players, and then you're back to normal in 34 when you probably didn't have any of those doubling players. Yeah. So no, it's definitely a really good option, something to consider. Don't really have to make that call until 30, 31.
Yes, which is the great thing about this. We don't have to make any decisions until game week 30, 31. But I think, a lot of people who are free hitting in Game Week 29 won't have access to either of these strategies.
Well, that was my next point, right? So this is sort of leaving to the wayside all the Game Week 29 free hitters.
It is, yeah.
I do think free hit 29 has become slightly more appealing.
I agree.
Particularly with sort of what's going on at the moment with all the players dropping like flies. Do you have to wildcard in Game Week 34 still, given how few doublers there are probably going to be? Can you just navigate it with free transfers if you're wildcarding? Let's just say you free hit in 29,
Yeah.
you wildcard in 30, 31, 32.
Mm-hmm.
Can you still navigate it?
You could, yeah.
Because you're rolling your transfers through all this.
Yeah, but I think it would require, I don't know what it would require, to be honest, because the teams that you want to pick from in 33 and potentially 32 are still not going to be the same teams that you want to have in 34.
But
So you still need to have a flip-flop there.
But you don't have to fully load up, basically. Because, like, wildcarders are not going to have that much Liverpool coverage,
Yeah.
for example, who are going to be a good team getting lots of points through that period.
Yeah.
Was it Chelsea that aren't doubling as well, was it?
What, in Game Week 33, Chelsea aren't doubling?
Let's just go back. So, Brentford won't double, so Bournemouth's interesting. Chelsea won't double.
There's still a small chance Brentford double in 33. It depends on that Forest fixture
I got you.
that they have.
Liverpool won't double. Forest, again, possibility that they do, they don't. I don't know. Could you navigate it with some of the single game week players as well? I think it's still something to consider. I don't think Game Week 29 free hit is as avoidable. Not avoidable. I don't think Game Week 29 free hit is as much of a void as it was last week.
It depends. It depends on what happens with Crystal Palace and Newcastle. If by some miracle one or both of those teams have a double in 33 and blank in 34, then wildcard 34 is very much still on.
Yeah.
But if neither of them double in 33 and blank in 34, did your head hurt yet?
We just confused everybody.
It gets complicated, man.
Let's talk about more fun things.
Yeah, man. It's so heavy. It really is. Like, I sit around and think about this for hours a day.
Why don't you just read Ben Krellin's tweets?
He does. Honestly, I'm ahead of Ben Krellin right now. Can you believe that?
Damn, you're thinking too hard.
I'm looking at Ben Krellin's tweets and I'm thinking, this is not enough. We need to go deeper.
He's only working it out now. I figured this out.
We need to go deeper.
3 hours ago, Ben. 3 hours. You're meant to be the expert, Ben.
I know. But the craziest thing is, when you're not, I was deep in this the other day. Like, when you're just like a consumer of FPL content, you think, it's fine. Someone else will figure it all out for you. But when you are the FPL content creator, you're the person who's got to figure it out. I'm the guy who's got to figure it out. When did that happen? I don't want to figure it out. I want to read a tweet. I want to watch someone else's video. I've got to make the videos.
Oh, mate.
Crazy. I love it, though.
Get rid
lie.
of a few subscribers and you won't have to do it anymore.
Yeah, true.
Let's move on to greener pastures, where I have once again closed the gap by a point.
Hey, that's a good score from both of us, to be fair. But you have clutched it.
We absolutely smashed it. I was screaming, laughing when Nkunku scored and got the assist, and then Neto scored as well. I'm like fuming. Nkunku even set up Neto, didn't he? But this was really good. I mean, you can't really ask for much more, right? 12.0, 11.0.
From a differential for a sub 5% owned play, it's rare one of us pull something off like this. Like, for both of us to do it in the same week.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's really good stuff. So, given that we're on a roll,
there's
a lot of pressure on our next pick.
I know we've got to really think a lot about our next picks here as well.
A lot of complicated fixtures, some really good matchups.
We don't where do we go from here? How do we match last week? We need to somehow get something equivalent to last week.
Same amount of points, same
The same kind of vibe, maybe.
I'm going for. Well, no, that's you.
I'm going to go for Nkunku. So you went for Nkunku last week. I thought, okay, well, I'll go for Nkunku this week.
Well, unlike you, I showed some innovation.
Okay, what did you do?
I went for Neto.
Nice. So we've literally just swapped differentials of the week for the next week. Nice.
Oh,
Beautiful stuff.
Lovely. You know what? Neto's actually a decent option, man.
Yeah.
I kind of like him this week.
Yeah. Swap back next week for 30 against Arsenal.
Arsenal, maybe. Arsenal aren't great right now.
Yeah, but there you go. So we literally just swapped this week. Let's see how that goes. You know what happened, though? You'll beat me by 1 point again with Neto.
I don't need to beat you by 1 point. I need to beat you by 25.
35.
19.
Wait,
29.
what is that? How many?
29.
What's the points difference? 29.
Yeah.
You know what? It was almost 50 points at 1 point. So you actually genuinely have closed this.
Yeah.
Like a decent amount over the last few weeks.
I need 1 or 2 good weeks, and then it's neck and neck.
You're running out of time, but like you are definitely heading in the right direction.
Yeah. I reckon this will be a Gameweek 38 showdown, you know?
I hope it is. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
I like it.
Imagine choking a 50-point lead.
No.
Couldn't be me!
I'm an Arsenal fan after all. Right, so game week 27 for me was, well, I mean, kind of meh. I think a lot of people felt that way. Unless you had Glasner as your assistant manager, or maybe some of the Chelsea boys whose names were not Palmer, you probably had a pretty mediocre week, and I think that's okay. So Isak obviously injured. My auto sub was a 2-point Castagna.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations to everyone who had Rodgers and Sarr, and I've seen some horrible ones.
It's so spammy. I hate it.
I hate it. But yeah, like in fairness, I got 7 players returning out of 11. They just weren't very high scores.
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up with Palmer captain in the end.
I can't believe you went for it.
No, I can't believe I went for it.
You got kind of
I got
caught up in the crowd, I think.
No, you know what? It wasn't even that. I was surprised to see how many people ended up captaining Palmer. I thought I actually looked through like a lot of the data and the projections and the market data and stuff like that, and it looked really good for Palmer. And I thought, you know what? This is an opportunity to go different. These only come about once every 3 or 4 weeks, and we're running out of time in this season. If you want to make big moves, you're going to have to do a few of these. It was a nice opportunity. It didn't pay off this time, but the damage is minimal.
The good thing is Salah didn't smash it, right?
Yes, for sure.
6 points isn't the end of the world. You lost out on 3 points. I did the same move. But Cole Palmer had 2 huge opportunities. Just
so frustrating.
one of them, I jumped out the sofa like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, he buries that every single time.
He's just not on it at the moment. He's not.
I don't know what happened. But yeah, I mean, I don't regret the decision either. But you got a green arrow.
Yeah.
Can't complain.
Yeah, I think I got a little lucky with Kirkes and Kluivert because like Kirkes' little sideways pass for Kluivert to score an absolute wonder goal.
That was a beauty.
Like,
that was a beauty.
It's nice when it happens, but you have to also say, yeah, this is kind of fortunate that it happened. So, we take it, but maybe a little spawny green arrow for me. But the 3rd green arrow in a row.
Good stuff.
Since Wood and Jackson ruined my life. But I said I wouldn't talk about that anymore, which I'm not going to. So don't worry, I won't mention it again. I won't mention it again. So anyway, moving on into game week 28.
Yes.
I don't think I'm going to make a transfer,
which
is quite a luxury situation to be in.
How boring.
I have 2 free transfers right now. I kind of want to roll a 3rd.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Into game week 29. So I've got Pickford right now against Wolves, which is with no Cunha, I think is looking nicer. Trent, Gabriel, and I'm going to play Kirkes against Spurs, I think. In midfield, Salah captain against Southampton, Palmer against Leicester, and Bournemouth against Aston Villa, and then we've got the duo of Dango and Kluivert against Spurs. And up front, Isak against West Ham and Wissa against Aston Villa. So I'm quite fortunate that I don't have Mateta and Cunha. I say quite fortunate. These players have scored a lot of points recently. So, I mean, I don't have too much sympathy for those who have lapped up all of their points and now they have to make a transfer. Oh, boo-hoo. You've got all of the points, but you have to make a transfer. That's literally the game of FPL, guys. Yeah. And you're definitely up on me. So, but yeah, I think Castagna on the bench, Hall I'm not expecting to play, and Dye. I mean, I have a choice with Ndai. I either move to Wood, Marmouche now. I can't go Evan Nilsson because I'm already tripled up on Bournemouth. that's pretty much my only options: Marmoush or Woods, and I'm not really feeling either of those transfers this week.
Yeah, I mean, don't hate to wait a week for that.
Yeah, so my plan is next week to do in Gameweek 29 to do a triple free transfer, which will get me to full team of 11 players with a triple transfer. And that
Isak to Haaland?
Nope. It will be Trent to Gvardiol. It will be Ndiaye to Haaland. And that will involve downgrading Palmer to a midfielder, max 6.3 million. And currently I've got my eye on Savinho as trying to just throw just a little something a bit different in there. Just it's the time of the season to start doing something different, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So yeah, and that would work. That would be 11 men for Game 29. I have Haaland to captain, which would be quite handy, I suppose. And I would also hold all of the value I have tied up in Salah, Isak, and Hall, because they're the three players I have the most team value tied up in as well. So it kind of works for me. I think that's the plan. But it means I have to roll this week.
Yeah.
Which, with players like Dango, with players like Kirkes, these are players at risk of 1-pointers.
Yeah. It's dangerous.
Is it too patient? That's the question.
I don't know how much better your team would be if you made the transfer. I think your team is going to struggle this game week, probably regardless.
Well, unless
somehow
bring in Wood for Ndiaye, hope he does something against City, and bench Dango, and hope that Dango's benched. That's the alternative.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, it's even that's not like a brilliant alternative. And then you also lose out on what you wanted to do in Game Week 29 with Haaland. Right?
Yeah, I lose it completely. So if I go Gvardiol in for like Hull, for example, this week, again, I completely lose what I want to do next week.
Yeah.
So
I hear it. I think you're quite reliant on that Bournemouth lot, though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But okay, let's take a quick gander at my team. We've got the actual screenshot of mine. 49 points. Bit of a difficult game week for me. Imagine I didn't get that double clean sheet coming from Timber and Raya. I don't know what I would have been on. Outside of that, Palmer, captaincy, Trent with the 6-pointer, Castagna and Mikalenko, I just never seem to get right. Mikalenko obviously kept a clean sheet. I played Castagna. In midfield, alongside Palmer, we've got Rodgers, who I started for his 7-pointer. A lot of people didn't.
Oh, okay. Who was your Isak auto sub then?
Gakpo.
Rough. That's rough.
Yeah. I actually got it right in terms of what I did, but got burnt off the Isak no-show. And then, obviously, in Bournemouth, is that a 5-pointer? I think he got an assist.
Yeah, he got an assist.
Mo Salah with the 6, Dango, and then up front I've got Wood and Gakpo. So no Wissa, no Cliver, none of the sort of edge picks, fringe picks that did well. Obviously, no Neto and Kunku. Wasn't brilliant, but we move. I think I'm still just inside the top 500k, which, I mean, I'm not like over the moon about, but it's not awful at the moment. Next week, this is how I'm lining up. And this is my boss team at the moment. Same team. I think I'm in the same boat as you, where I am probably just going to roll.
Got no Cunha, no Mateta either, so...
So that was the big thing for me last week. Yeah.
Wait, have you ever had Hull?
No.
What? How?
I just never had points. I had Hall at the start of the season when he was getting benched.
Right, nice.
I swore him off since.
Yeah.
I've been really bad with defenders. I haven't had Kirkes, Hall, or Munoz, and they've been the three who've been picking up the points, right?
Damn.
But luckily, Arsenal have been kind of bailing me out. Now, last week, the sort of, I don't know what the word for it is, but the pressure to do Gakpo to Cunha was huge.
Yeah. Oh, that's a bit of a let off there, really, then, isn't it? Would that have been a hit?
Would have been a -4.
Oh my God, I'm so glad you didn't do that.
Yeah.
He blanked and then got injured.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I would have been a transfer behind, about 3 points behind. It would have been ugly. I also could have done Rodgers out for a hit too. Obviously, a lot of people were looking at Bowen. I didn't really like that move. He did score though, so maybe it would have been worth it. But no, it wouldn't have been worth it because I would have done it for a hit.
Yeah.
So either way,
patience rewarded.
Yeah, the patience was rewarded, and I've now found myself without having to deal with Mateta or Cunha.
Nice.
So just like you,
You got all your points. I've got the team now, though.
I got one extra transfer. Brilliant.
So yeah, I mean, like I was relatively keen on keeping Gakpo. I'm pretty confident he starts against Southampton.
Could be nice.
I'm hoping for some good stuff there. Outside of that, I mean, I think it's just a role. I think this is a straightforward role, in fact, where I just deal with what I deal with in Gameweek 29. I might end up following you with Trent to Gvardiol, because the more you talk about that, that's actually quite interesting.
Sounds nice, man.
I'd really be interested in having Haaland for captaincy. I don't know how I would make it work, though. I would probably have to do Trent, Palmer, and Isak out for a -4, which would bring in Bruno, Gvardiol, and Mr. Haaland.
Could you not sell Gakpo? You not do Trent, Palmer, Gakpo out?
I don't think that would work, but I will take a look.
If you maybe went...
Or maybe I could even do Trent, Gakpo, and Isak. I don't know. This is something for me to figure out in Gameweek 29.
Sure.
But either way, -4 should get me sorted for Gameweek 29. Outside of Trent, Gakpo, and Isak, I think everyone else I have plays. No, Mo Salah doesn't. But I've got Dango.
You do have Dango. No thoughts to play Mikalenko? I mean, I'm looking at Mikalenko versus Castagna. I think I'd play Mikalenko.
This lineup is from before Cunha died. So...
Okay. We need to stop saying that players have died, by the way. Like, there might be some people listening who maybe take things a little more literally.
Yes.
than others.
Yes, you're correct. And it's not a nice omen to put into the world. So I agree.
Oh, it's not an omen. I'm not accusing you of, cursing any players here. I'm just saying we need to be a bit more particular with our language choices.
Okay.
It is fun to say that a player has died. Weirdly. But it's
a little bit, but okay. This was from before Cunha was suspended for 4 matches.
Yeah.
So he's obviously going to miss the Everton game, which makes it a bit more likely that Everton keep a clean sheet there. And Brighton is a solid attack, so maybe it's worth dropping Castagna out for this one and switching in Mikalenko. So bet on it. Castagna is going to outscore him.
Yeah, maybe.
Right, yo. Shall we move on?
To what?
There is one final thing. I'm even considering whether or not we should talk about it. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we go into the final thing we talk about?
No, there isn't. I think we covered everything today. There's not really too much to talk about. I say there's not much to talk about. We just talked about so much. But no, one more thing. We, the Stick to FPL boys, are heading to the Sidemen charity match on Saturday. So if we bump into any of you there, please do make sure you come up and say hello. We'll be more than happy to chat a bit of FPL whilst the games are going on.
Oh, mate, I was on a work call the other day.
Yeah.
And one of my clients was like, I was scrolling YouTube the other day, and I was like, oh no.
Here we go.
Like, do you play FPL? He goes, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You've been recognised.
So he must have been watching your channel.
Yeah.
And somehow got rerouted into Stick to FPL.
Okay.
And he must have been listening to it, like not watching it.
Yeah.
He was like, wait, hold on, I recognise that voice.
Yeah, for real?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick, man.
No, I don't want to be recognised by people at
No,
work.
that's awesome.
If you know me from work and you're watching me, don't tell me. Just like pretend like you don't know me so I can continue to be professional.
But if you see Sim outside of his work environment,
also
go
don't
up
tell
to
me.
him.
No.
Pester him. Ask him for like differentials of the week and make sure to never buy that player. You get these exclusive insights. All you got to do is bother Sim in real life if you do see him.
Right. Well, to make the Sidemen match fun,
Yeah.
me and Dan have decided to play a little game. Sidemen Fantasy FC Fantasy.
Yeah.
Where relatively similar system. Goals give you points, assists give you points. There's no clean sheets because there's probably
There's
going to be...
not going to be any clean sheets in the charity match.
8-10. And we've also got for a manager.
Yeah, so 4 players and a manager, 5 points for a goal, 3 points for an assist, and if your manager wins, 10 points. Nice little system, nice and simple, fun little mini game for us to play.
I reckon we could pop out 50 points.
Yeah. Okay. Well, tell the good people who is in your team.
So this is my team. I've gone for Mini Minter, Tobe Jizzle. But why is he red flag? Why is he yellow flagged?
Yeah, true Sidemen fans would know that Tobe Jizzle had a minor injury in the match for Hope. Is it the one in?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, which was a couple of weeks ago. So he picks up a little injury there. He's gonna be fine, but for the immersion, I thought we might add a little flag to him.
I've also gone for Theo Baker, who I'm pretty sure plays a little bit deeper.
He's injury prone as hell as well, by the way. This is injury FC.
He's got a rocket on him. And then finally Chunks for his 10 minutes sporadic appearances throughout the entire match because he can't put together more than 5 minutes.
Little Somali link up though.
Shout out my brother. Oh, he's going to be fasting as well. Is it in the evening? Oh, no, it's at 3 o'clock. He's going to be fasting.
He is going to be fasting.
I might have to make a transfer there. he can barely hack 10 minutes.
Yeah, unlimited transfers till deadline. Don't worry. Okay. You'll be fine.
And I've gone for Chip as my manager. I've got no idea who's in his team, but that's who I've gone for.
Nice.
Do you want to talk through your team?
Yeah, so I've gone for some underdogs in my team. I'm not going to as try hard as you. I've gone for the big man Calfreezy as the manager.
You picked Manny.
Yeah, okay, so I got try hard in the middle. We've got Manny and Chris MD for the 2 try hard picks. And then Angry Ginge, I think, is one of the most underrated charity football players in the history of charity football. Every time I watch a charity football game and Angry Ginge is playing, he bags a goal.
Okay.
He just does the business. And Zerka never scored.
Has he not?
Never. And I know for a fact that in this charity game, everyone on our entire pitch is going to make sure that Zerka gets his first ever Sidemen charity match goal. So he is in the team. I am backing Zerka to get a goal this week. I think he can do it. Finally.
Okay. Well, we don't even know who the celebrities playing are yet, do we?
We don't know everyone yet, so maybe there's some other players as well. But if you guys want to play along on YouTube or whatever, wherever you're watching this, leave a comment. Pick 4 players playing in the Sidemen charity match. And pick a manager, which is either Chip or Calfreezy. So not much choice there. And we'll see how many points you guys can get. Can you beat our teams? Let's find out. But
don't come onto the next week's video saying, "Oh, I got 1,000,000 points because I picked these players." No,
you got to get.
You have to
now.
Put your comments in and requirement. You have to have one meme pick. You can't just pick.
Who is your meme pick?
Chunks.
He's not. He's a good footy player.
Come on, he can barely put together 5 minutes.
But those 5 minutes, they are so beautiful.
No, he's got one rocket on him, and that's about it. I think he's a meme pick.
Fine.
I could switch him out for speed. Like, it doesn't matter. But you can't like pick Manny, Chris MD, Theo, and Miniminter, for example.
Nah, it's boring.
Yeah.
Boring. Yeah, have some fun with it. But there you go, guys. Anyway, that is the end of the show today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Like Sim mentioned earlier, if you wouldn't mind dropping a like or 5-star rating or like subscribe, it all really does help a bunch. And we do want to continue the show as long as we can. We're looking forward to trying to go again next season. And that very much kind of depends on support and stuff. So yeah, keep it up, guys. Really appreciate it. And we'll be back next Monday, Tuesday, for another show, which will be, I guess, a free hit special in many ways.
Free hit special. Yeah. I like it. Thank you, guys. Catch you next week and good luck.
Bye-bye.